Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome to sunny Brazil and the Autodrome Jose Carlos Base, or more commonly known as Interlagos, the epic track in Brazil that always invokes such great racing, great action. And today, the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship heads here for a track that's loved by drivers and fans alike. The teams maybe not so much due to its primitive paddock facilities, but you know, and I know it, you always get a great race around here. I am Tim Cox, got Samila Kume in the virtual production trailer, and as always, joined by Aaron Smith and Oliver Quoker. Aaron, I mean, what a... Well, we've had some absolutely epic racing this season, and Interlagos, it normally always comes at the end of the season. Mid-season this time around, so... I mean, it could be a little bit interesting, a little bit safer, but we've always had such great close wheel-to-wheel combat around here.
Yeah, I think in the higher formulas, it's a little bit more difficult to have that proper side-by-side action, but this track and car combination has a little bit of a special place in my heart, as this was actually the track and car combination that I did my first commentary on, so there you go. And yeah, I think that race that we did, I think it was me and you, Tim, I think then as well.
It was.
And yeah, I think we're going to have some good racing, maybe a little bit cleaner than we did a few seasons ago, but yeah, I am excited. I love this track, and hopefully the drivers do as well.
Definitely. We've got qualifying just underway right now. Well, actually, coming towards the closing stage of qualifying. Look at how close it is at the top. Our top three separated by not 3/10, not 300ths of a second, but 3,000ths of a second. I mean, Oliver. I'm lost for words at just how close it is. Well, it's 3,000ths of a second to be precise. And you were saying before the show, wonder how Dennis Fairkheim's going to get on, and he's currently languishing after his last week's performance, all the way down in 10th as Sam Borski and the death nicking it there to go 700ths faster than Mordan DeCarmo.
Yeah, I mean, this track is one of the greats, still old school. It was changed in, I think, 1990 or 1991, but it's still, relatively speaking, one of the old school tracks where you really wrestle the car, you need all the downforce that you can, and it's just rewards you in every in every corner, really. It's so difficult, but it's at the same time, it's a lot of fun to drive to get it right. And the reason why we have these close gaps is this track is relatively short. I mean, we have lap times, as we see, around the 1 minute 20 mark. So it's easy. Well, it's not easy to gain time or a lot of time, but it's so easy to lose all the time on this track, especially here in the last corner. If you don't get that correct, you just lose all the momentum, and you have this penalty of seeing your relative just adding up, which is the most painful side, I think.
I saw Jorge Lopez there in the depths of qualifying, just head up into 10th, while Marcus Alacron pops up into 6th. And interesting for Lopez, it's the fastest of anyone fighting in the final sector. Went purple there, but just green throughout, and only good enough for what was 10th, now 11th. But well, a few drivers a little bit down in qualifying. So Savaris and Jamie Byrne having both their times deleted, so those are going to start from the back of the grid, 23rd, 24th. Big grids here today in Formula iRacing. So iRacing Formula 3.5. Let's see Daniel Gallus come across the line, currently last of all the times so far, and nips it across there, but only still good enough for 22nd. And well down from him, Miguel Crespo and Victor Ord. Disappointing qualifyings from them. Let's take you through your grid. Samborski clinching the last second pole there with Marlon Mordan starting with him on the front row. Fabio De Carmo, who's Yuki Shirakawa for company on the second row. Third row, Carlos Duresho and Marcus Alacron, the all-Iberian row there. Row 4 sees Maranel and Hara alongside one another, with Malhi and Birdies running at your top 10, fifth row of the grid. Jorge Lopez and Dennis Furkheim are on row 6. Row 7 sees Cal Young live alongside Dennis Cornu. Luke Brooker has Miguel Crespo for company, the all Aussie row 8 there. Row 9, Victor Ord and Sylvain Moraine. Takashi Shindoi starting alongside Yaha Ennis Akin to run out your top 20. Row 11 sees James Byrne line up alongside Daniel Gallus. Bit of disqualifying for the Burns there, because Jamie Byrne, as mentioned earlier, having both his times deleted. He's going to start on the 12th row with Costas Zafiris. Wow, interesting to see how the two Burns and Gallus come through the field there. Likewise, Miguel Crespo. Struggling for a little bit of form as Miguel this season. Victor Ord, Brazilian, we've seen some strong performances from him. He's normally qualifying well inside the top 10. Tonight he starts from 17th all the way down the grid, but I think we're just waiting on more down. Yes, we are. The last drivers to take to the grid before we're going to take the lights, and we'll be off racing here today from Interlagos. 27 laps is the race distance. It's a long one, but as Oliver was saying earlier, quick lap times. It's a short track. The action comes at you fast and furious here. I'm sure we're going to see no different as Mordan has taken the grid. Here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing from Interlagos in the iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 as we are green and we are away. And Mordan did not get the best of starts, and he's getting absolutely swamped there. Shirakawa's had a cracker. He's up 2 places off the start and has a little look up this inside of Samborski there. Has to back out. Not quite close enough to get a move done. Just looking further through the field. Everyone making their way through turns 1 and 2. And down the Retroposta for the first time. Seen of a big accident in the past here in this series. But everyone just making their way through in the early stages. Mordan looking a bit racy towards the front end of the field. Just see the... Oh, well, I say everyone's got away cleanly. Carlos Duresho again. Caught out, sent spinning. And well, that's him well down. He's down all the way into 17th with 12 places in these early stages. But already Samborski has opened up a big lead of nearly 2 seconds as we see Mordan coming under a lot of pressure from DeCarmo as we head through the S's here. Pinarino first of all, and all their spinners in the background. 3 cars caught up in that one. And who was that? Marcus Alacron and I think Mahimi as well. Yeah, caught out. And it's all happening in these earlier stages, isn't it, Aaron?
Yeah, that start was a little bit chaotic. We've got some sends into this last corner from some of these mid-pack drivers, all trying to gain a few more positions, trying to be a little bit opportunistic as I believe this is Byrne gaining a place up into 13th place, but that start was, yeah, interesting to say the least. You had the likes of Shirakawa, who blasted off the line and then eventually made a mistake into turn 4, but here's Moraine looking up the inside of Brooker, eventually getting ahead, and yeah, this mid-pack battle on these opening few laps is looking to be very, very spicy. I can't see any rear wings being deployed at the moment, so everyone just saving them and thinking the slipstream will be sufficient enough. And I'd say that's a smart thing, and that's Byrne going very, very wide. Jamie going off the track there and getting back on track just about ahead of Brooker. But yeah, wow, that's that opening lap was quite something there, Tim.
It was certainly, and said about the Burns. In fact, James Byrne, he's up 9 places into 12. Jamie's up 7 into 16. Let's keep an eye out for those guys. All well out of position during qualifying. And as I said, that early lead that Samborski able to open out on the opening lap, 2 seconds. That's how it's remained. That's due to, obviously, as you mentioned, Shirakawa, that great start, good up to 2nd off the line. Then that mistake cost him dearly, dropping all the way back to 5th. That combined with Takamo getting into the back of Mordan and really, really pressurising the Frenchman. It's what allowed the American just to pull away and get well outside DRS range. As I mentioned, the drivers do have 8 available to them. They can use them at any point during the race, as many times during a lap. However, they only get the 8 available uses, and I do believe... Oh no, he's still got it open. It's quite hard to tell on these cars. It's not like F1 where the rear wing opens up and it's nice and obvious. It's a little flap at the bottom. When that shuts, it just causes the rear wing to stall, and the driver's able to shoot along at warp speed in them. It's just looking down for the field. Marcus Alacon just dropping a couple of places again. You see Shirakawa right now in the middle of your screen, all over the back of Hara. Dennis Bergheim, to keep an eye out for him. Had a great result last time out of Road America. He's already up 5 places into 7th. Looking to make it a couple more. The 2 Japanese drivers right ahead of him. I'll tell you what, Shirakawa is looking a little bit fragile in these early stages, Oliver, isn't he?
Yeah, it was difficult, really. I mean, he had, as we always see him, had a great start, but then seemed to got pulled out in an incident with Alacron in turn 4, I think. As we see Ducamo.
Yes, Ducamo trying to get up the inside of Mordan, and well, still side by side trying to switch back here. That's allowed Marinelle just to close into the back of them. They're losing it. Oh, there's a big incident, and that's right into the wall there for Mordan. Wow, I'm not even sure there was contact. He just seemed to veer left there and hit the wall, and well, that's cars crabbing. That is game over for the Frenchman.
Yeah, that was a very, very strange incident, and yeah, that's one we're definitely going to need a replay on as we come now round turn 3. I think there was, yeah, a little bit of contact, and I think it was just Mordan moving a bit too aggressively, Ducamo moving the same way, and yeah, just a little bit unfortunate. I don't think that's really anyone's fault. It's kind of... Maybe you can put the blame a little bit more on Ducamo as he's the car behind, but I mean, you know, one Frenchman out, another Frenchman in 2nd place. So technically, if you if you don't pay attention to the names, it's exactly the same as it was last lap, so everything's fine.
Yeah, just that one, yeah, and the car numbers as well. no difference there. But, well, up in front, all this, well, chaos. An incident over 2nd place. I mean, Marinelle, he's up 5 places. He's had a cracking start. And also off camera, Ferkheim's got past Shirakawa. Samborski now has a 7-second lead even as they head through the Curva del Sol, just exit it. Pretty much Samborski is just about to get into the braking zone for Descida del Lago. So they're pretty much the length of the Retta Aposta, separating 1st and 2nd. We're only on lap 5 out of 27. Interesting to see how that lead develops and grows, if at all. There's definitely an advantage. Samborski right now can afford to play it safe. Dennis Cornu, he's another driver qualified out of position by the Frenchman's standards. He's up places into 6th, and that's This Bergheim just in front of him, and just behind him is, well, Shirakawa. Seems to be in reverse right now, dropping places like a stone. Just see Cao Young, sorry, birdies squabbling away over 8th. You don't want to let Shirakawa get away from him. You know about the quality and the caliber of the Japanese driver. Young really needs to strike with the irons hot. Also behind him comes Duresho. He's managed to pick up a few places after a poor start, up inside the top 10 once again. But down 5 from where he started. Second highest iRacing driver in the race tonight. That's why he's got the number 2 car. He's come into the race into the center S's. It's just starting to brew the storm just in front of him. And that trio that is Shirakawa, Young and Birdies.
Yeah, also off camera, DeCarmo actually did get past Marinel into second place. And I believe he used DRS to get past as well. But so far, Shirakawa has had an absolute horrid start to this race. He got an amazing start, then got muddled up into turn 4 on the opening lap, and now he's just falling back and back and back.
Oliver will be able to confirm. So I think he's carrying damage to the floor because the left side pod looks really scuffed up. So he lost the place as well. Young, and then Birdies and Duresho heading through as Shirakawa fights it back behind them. That's James Bird. He's up 10 places already into 11th and wants to nick that one off Shirakawa. But yeah, Oliver, I think that Shirakawa right now is carrying a bit of damage. Yeah, there's damage to that left side pod.
Yeah.
So that's going to be floor damage, surely, isn't it? And why he's struggling so much?
Yeah, I mean, that's the worst kind of damage that you can have because A, you can't replace it. For example, if you have front wing damage, you can easily pit and get a new front wing. But the other thing is, well, it depends on where the damage, how severe it is. It changes the balance of the car dramatically. In the previous years, it has always turned into oversteer, very, very bad oversteer. But nowadays it seems to give you a little bit more understeer. But on this track here especially, you need a perfect balance because you're so much on the edge all the time and pretty much in every corner. So this costs him severely, as we see. I mean, Yuki is no slouch. He's just doing what he can.
It's damage limitation.
Yeah.
For the Japanese driver actually now. That was Carlos Duresho getting in front of him, right on board with James Byrne, who, but you see just the amount of extra available grip to the American there. It just easily dispatches the Shirakawa, who has no answer for it whatsoever. He's putting up a great fight, but it's to no avail because he's nothing he can do with that car wounded right now. I do wonder if we'll see him finish out this race or whether he'll still potentially pit and retire the car. Next up for him to try and defend is Jamie Byrne. He's up 11 into 12th, and well, Byrne's coming through the field in these early stages. Something's happened to Gallus and Shendoi. I think they've had a bit of a coming together further down through the field. This cost them both dearly. They've moved down through the order because of it. And here we go. Maybe Oliver, this will give us the answer.
Ellis on the inside trying to attack Shendoi closes the door on him, okay, and turns himself around, unfortunately, there. Well, Takashi will say, okay, he was not even close to me, like, enough alongside for me to open the door. Gallus says, well, I had my nose in, so that's going to be a fun few text messages after the race, as we see one car.
That's Victor Ord there, yeah, the Brazilian. In his home race,
that's
there are only 2 Brazilians in the field. He's retired the car. He was, of course, up in an incident earlier on as well. So, carrying a bit of damage there, decided to park it and retire the car. Disappointing for him. So, a fellow countryman in the race is running second right now, Fabio Carmo. He's past Marinel. Trying to extend the gap. It's 8 tenths right now. Yukimi Ahara is just behind them though, so don't discredit the Japanese driver and what he can manage to do. So we're up to, wow, lap 9. So about third race distance here from Brazil. Sam Borski leads the gap now 6.3 seconds, a massive amount of time from 9 laps. The Carmo second, Marinel currently in the last of the podium positions. Hara is closing It's about 9 tenths behind him. You can see him just in the rear of this picture. There's Ferkheim. Wow, he's made his way through the field again for the second week in the row after his outing at Road America last week. He's up into 5th, up 7 places. Cornu's picked up 8 spots into 6th. Then it's Cal Young. Rafael Verdes in 8th. Carlos Dorescio. James Byrne is 10th overall and up 11 spots. Shirakawa is dropping off the back of them. In fact, it's being ruled in by Jamie Byrne, who's in 12th and up 11. So some big places gained right now by some of our drivers, but some big losses. Retirements so far, well, we are looking at 2. Victor Ordo we lost on lap 7, and Mordan after that big incident sadly retired the car on lap 4. The car was crabbing. It was no way that was going to carry on. No way you can drive around that at all. As I'm seeing if the Burns had a bit of a obviously father and son duo. They had an internet. That's an internet issue, I think, for them because they're dropping through.
Both of them, yeah.
Oh, and they're back again. Well, there you go. Now you can tell there's definitely not PC related, definitely internet related for those two. As they all of a sudden pop back into the sim and back into, well, where they were previously, 11th and 12th.
Yeah, that was a fun little incident for the Burns, as you know, their family, obviously now in the same house, and yeah, just easy way to tell what problem it is, and yeah, it seems their internet just cut out for like 10 or so seconds. But on your screen right now, this seems to be the closest battle for the final podium spots, 3rd place, and I think Hara might have the slight advantage here. I think sitting behind at this track is actually better, as defending round here isn't easy, as you have so many opportunities in that first sector to get past, and if you can just nudge your opponent ever so slightly offline, say for example into turn 1, you can maybe go for a fake move, push your rival offline, and then get an amazing run down the Retroposta into Descida La Lago, and boom, you're up another place. And I think if Hara can do that, he's easily going to make his way into 3rd, but he's just got to get a little bit closer to make it work.
With Hara right now, it's reduced the gap down a little bit. It was only a couple of laps ago, about 9 tenths of a second. He's brought the gap down to 6 tenths, 7 tenths. That sort of window right now as a Japanese driver. So Marinel proving that it's no slats whatsoever. These two really close on iRacing, only an exact 50 separating them. They're being advantage to the Frenchman as it is on track right now. Takamo not able to find something within him to help pull away, and he is on the cusp though of getting out of the slipstream range, isn't he? Gap currently, just look at it, 7 tenths of a second between. No, sorry, apologies, a second. So he's just outside, isn't he, of slipstream range?
Yeah, we've seen Marinel actually doing a mistake a few laps ago in Sector 2 in the infield. So he's barely hanging on, trying to stay within, as you said, in the slipstream of Takamo, because then otherwise he will definitely be eaten up by Yuki. So just pushing it to the limit without obviously using DRS, because we have seen Hara actually using some of the DRSs to stay or to get into the slipstream range of Marinel, but Marinel doesn't want to get or to use any DRSs for himself, just to save them up in case he gets into a battle with Hara, and of course Forchheim, because these drivers, they, as I said earlier, they spy on each other on the relative to see, okay, who has pace, who doesn't, and try to eke out, okay, who's using how many DRSs at which time. It's all a strategy game, isn't it?
It is indeed, and Barry Marinel's just taking a couple of attempts out of Takamo, where that is extending that. You see the drivers are definitely stronger and weaker at different parts of the track. However, Hara has managed to just take an extra attempt. Further down through the field, Jamie Byrne has made it past Shirakawa. He's now up into 11th and a incredible 12. Costa Savara's started dead last, and well, it's at 10 places right now, into 14th. great start for him, and also banging some iRating out of it. Always good to know. As you see, Takamo coming around. They're going to head out onto lap 14 out of 27, half race distance here in Brazil. And the gaps are shrinking between these three drivers. Three drivers fighting out over just 2 places on the podium. Zaborski extending even further his lead, 8.3 seconds. That's a mammoth amount of time, Aaron. It doesn't matter what category you're in. That is a night and day amount of time at the half race distance mark.
Yeah, the big problem with having a massive gap like that is the trouble is, even if someone can match his pace, well, they're not going to catch him. And then you have to go quicker than Zaborski, and by a lot, to catch him, which is a task that I don't think, at the moment, anyone in this car is up to the task of completing. And especially, like, from experience, when I used to race at the top in Formula 3, even if the guy ahead of you was ahead by like a second or 2 seconds, that seemed nigh on impossible to catch up because all of you are so close. But when you have a gap like Zaborski's, it is so daunting, and you just sit back and think, how do I do that? Like, how do I get to his level? And he pumps in another fastest lap just to show everyone just how much better he is in this car, and well, why he has the reputation and iRacing that he has.
It's off camera. Gallus has got past Brooker. They've been scrapping out for a little while. And talking of scrapping things out, that's Duresho. Past Birdies, up into 8th goes the Iberian. Great little move down into turn 1, but does leave himself a little bit vulnerable down the Raposta down to see the Largo. I was just mentioning about Brooker and Gallus. Well, Brooker's lost another place. Gallus. So Lopez has managed to squeeze his way through. And also, Miguel Crespo did pop into the pits. That's when he has come back out again. So, just a quick repair to get that one sorted. Maybe a change of front nose for the Australian, but it's finished well down the standings. Currently lying in 21st and well off the pace with some 17, nearly 18 seconds behind Alacon. Currently in 20th. Well, we see this battle starting to spread out a little bit between Gallus, Lopez, and Brookers. Oh, Gallus making it past Lopez. Great little move. So, well, calming down a little bit. That usual lullers. Oh, maybe another internet dropout right now for the Burns again as they descend down the order in synchronicity. Yeah, and pop back straight back in there to 10th and 11th. It's Corny who's going to have to defend here from Cal Young. 2 attempts. The gap between these two into the center Restis, and I'm sure this is going to be Cal Young's move, isn't it? Down the Reciproca, down into the Ciudad Largo, just slipping up the inside. Wow, I say that, Aaron. Quite a bit of defending and aggressive defending from Corny right now.
Yeah, he really is on the ragged edge, and Cal Young slips it up the inside in turn 4, and that was a pretty nifty overtake by Cal Young, and not really much Cornu could have done there, to be honest. He was so much braver on the brakes than the Frenchman, and yeah, good overtake from Young. He moves up into 6th place. It's a bit of a task to get onto the back of Furkheim. We'll see if he can get away from Cornu. He seems to have already pulled out a decent gap of around 6/10. So I think Young definitely is on some good pace right now. And I think Cornu more or less should focus. And something's happened to Takamo. He's off the track at the last corner at his home race. He's absolutely binned it at the final corner and has fallen down to 5th place. And I can already tell he's either gotten on the grass on the exit or just given it too much throttle. We're going to find out which it was, and yeah, just a little bit too wide. It was a pretty good save though, and didn't loop it completely round, but yeah, going from 2nd to 5th in your home race, that has got to sting.
I mean, it seemed like he, for myself anyway, he took a lot of the curb and just got onto those concrete strips, but that's normally okay. I'm guessing it's not in these cars. something to Oliver there. Clearly rendered speechless by that.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. He's back in. We're back in the 3-2-1, back in the room. Yeah, I mean, these guys, you need to take a lot. Obviously, it's all about momentum coming off the corner, but it's car mode there. I mean, you can normally take quite a bit of curb on the exit there, but just went up and over it. And what sort of caused the car to spin like that, from your experience?
It can be multiple factors. I usually don't use that curb that often because I usually run the car very, very low to the ground. So for me, it was always the car gets unsettled there very quickly. We see Cal Young there use a lot of it. Some drivers actually do use a lot of curb. They run the car a little bit higher and set up the dampers a little bit more towards the curbs that they can use it a little bit more. We've seen that especially in Sector 2 as well. But yeah, I mean, it's the car gets unsettled, so the amount of grip varies very quickly. And of course, B, it's a different surface. And what many people forget, iRacing does model this as well. It's not just, okay, it's just asphalt a little bit bumpier. No, they really try to model the amount of grip on each surface. And he was on this, on the, what are they called actually, behind the curb. They were very slippery, especially as well here in Interlagos. And as you said, just too much throttle, and which is already enough when you're that far on the limit.
But obviously, it's the same type of material where you've got these little concrete patches sort of intertwined with the grass that you've got on the entrance into Yuncao, obviously that corner, where you see the drivers pretty much just put the car nearly across the white line all onto it to really open up the corner. But is that because there's straight line braking? Well, we're going to see it right now. And
Yep.
It's just where the straight line braking that doesn't really unsettle the car. The car's almost bottoming out across those curves, maybe a bit.
Yeah, A, that's another point. But B, we haven't seen it that way, that good out of this perspective that we had previously. But these stones actually fall away. You have the curb, which is on the same sort of level, the same amount of banking than the asphalt, the main track.
Yeah.
But then these stones actually fall away. So you fall into this dip with the car, and sometimes you might bottom out. But also, if you go over that crest, I would say, you lose a little bit of grip. But if you're on full throttle already, that small amount of grip that you lose is already enough to swing the car around. It's very, very tricky to get this right, especially, as I said, with this very, very long straight afterwards.
So right now you're seeing on your screen the battle for 6th intensify. 4 cars battling out: Young, Cornu, Duresho, all stalwarts of the series. And Rafael Birdi's someone I've not really seen before. Touchscreen broadcast, and holding his own right now in 9th place. It's one from where he started. And through into the Young Cal, which we was talking about there. Final corner, winding the car up, and starting to reach that nullified point in the race, aren't we, where nobody's really using their DRSs, all trying to save them. Well, I say that as the top 2 are really scrapping out now, Marinel and Hara, but I think when the laps come around so thick and fast, Aaron, we're not far away from it all kicking off once again.
Yeah, this is kind of the point in the race where we always kind of just, you don't really see too much happening. Yeah, there might be some cars which are kind of close to each other, but I think most people sort of around lap, I want to say 12 to about 20 at this stage in the race, kind of sit back a little bit, take a breather after those opening few laps, and just, if they are going to go for an overtake, maybe they're a bit more spacious with the other car, a bit more gentle compared to the opening laps where you're really aggressive, as we see the Burns having more internet problems. Let's hope their internet can just survive the next 8 laps or so. But I think Hara at the moment, as you were saying, is just saving some DRS for a charge towards the end of the race. And we'll see, obviously, if he is deploying. And I can tell you for certain that is definitely Marinel deploying his DRS, as Hara is barely gaining on him down this straight. And I just about can see that Marinel does have his rear wing closed. So you had some different tactics going on during this race. And I think, just saw Duresha in the background going for a move on Cornu into turn 1. Easy as you like, fairly simple move. Got it done before the corner. And he's on to his next target of Cao Young.
That's the thing, ourselves as commentators and likewise the drivers, other than when they've been sat behind someone, they can count up how many DRS uses the car in front of them has used. You really do have no idea what the driver's got left in their locker for them to be able to utilise come the latter stage of the race. I thought with Dennis Cornu, only like third in this scrap for 6th. I do wonder with Drescher race, that's come through the back if he's burned through quite a few of those 8 available DRS uses, and well, remains to be seen. 13 seconds Samborski leads by here in Brazil. Another dominant display from the American as Brooker into the pits. Brooker and Crespo, the 2 Australians, after maybe a bit of a disappointing qualifying, certainly by Crespo's standards, falling through the order in these stages. And it's really fascinating. Obviously, iRacing, recently tweeted about the rain. Well, I say tweeted. They slapped it all over their social media, and it's going to be really interesting. It's going to give a completely different dynamic to the series when it does come along, and you have some wet races throughout the season. There's hold on, that's someone ran in very, very deep there. I think that was. I was trying to work this one out as. It was Corny, wasn't it? It was, wasn't it? And that gap's really opened up between himself and Duresha Young. They've really capitalised and able to open up and move along. And Birdie's just not able to inflict that extra pain onto Cornu and just sits behind him for the moment. But yeah, I mean, the rain's going to really add another dynamic, isn't it, to this series?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we did get rain, I mean, would they add it to this car? Because I'm guessing if they did add rain, it would kind of be some series specific. It would definitely be added into GT3 first, let's be honest. That would be the first priority for rain. But if they added it to this series, I think, I mean, one, they'd obviously have to make a completely new tyre, which, is an entire different bag of just insanity in itself. And here we
go. Duresho's going to slip his way past Carl Young. Another place. He's up into 6th now, but yeah, they would have to make a new. I'm ruining my own pun here by stumbling over myself. It would be an entirely different tyre. Oliver, as you love this car so much, just seeing in the background there, Cornu, just able to defend from birdies there, but that's really starting to heart up right now, that battle for 8th. Now they've just dropped off the back of Duresha and Young. Yeah, I'm sure, Oliver, you'd be there lobbying iRacing to get any sort of wet weather tyre, and when the rain does eventually come along, straight into this car.
Yeah, I really hope so. I mean, the unfortunate thing is this car hasn't really changed that much over the last few seasons. That's the main reason why I've stepped a bit back in terms of driving, because I just got so used to it. You have all the setups, you have all the not tips and tricks, but you know a lot, and you just go into the week with all the knowledge that you previously had. And for me, it's more how can I describe that? The trying out part of the week, just finding pace.
Yeah, learning new things.
Yeah, exactly.
Different ways to go faster.
Exactly. And with rain, this will happen again, and I'm really excited about it, especially driving-wise. It's so difficult to properly drive in the rain, and as we all know, iRacing will try to implement it as good as possible, really, which means that you have rain, like a rain line, avoiding the ideal line, as we see.
Nice birdies, past Cornu.
Yep, and it's going to be really tricky to drive as well, and to predict as well, because I mean, it depends on how iRacing wants to implement it, but it's gonna open up so many great new factors. I'm really excited about it, and I'm sure I'm going to go back into this car as soon as we get rain, or at least races in the webs. Let me say it this way.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to see, although, watching whether we end up getting rain here in Brazil, that'd be another thing. Notoriously sunny country, but we have seen wet weather races in real life here before, so it's definitely not out of the question. And so what's not out of the question is what reply Cornu has got to Birdies. I tell you what, Rafael Birdie, since he's for someone newer to the Top Split broadcast, he's really holding his own right now. It looks like for a strong finish as both of them nearly making contact there with the pit entrance wall. You can see just how much these drivers are laying on the line, leaving nothing on the table whatsoever. All in a battle, well, just over Rafe. They're not even going for the win here. And I'll tell you, last time, penultimate time around, Samuels, he did set the new fastest lap of the race. So he's just walking away with that on front. Lap 24 out of 27 here at Interlagos. Still got some key battles though. A battle for second between Marinel and Hara. Still looming large. Hara not quite able to make that 4 or 5 temps barrier at this stage. Likewise, Teresha and Young, they're still close together. And of course, this battle you see is a big lock up there from Marinel. This could give Hara his chance here. But what can he do? And he's just not able to quite capitalise there, Aaron.
Yeah, it all depends about that DRS, that sacred rear wing flap, and we have no clue how many of these guys have left. We do still have 3 laps of racing left, so who knows? Hara might be playing the long game and just thinking, I'm going to sit back and chill just for a little bit, just for a tiny bit longer, and just wait. As definitely there, he was lifting off. He was about a tenth and a half behind and just decided, nah, I'm going to sit back. And I think Hara, although he's not as experienced in this car compared to some of the other drivers, he's definitely showing that he somewhat has competence and is thinking ahead, which is always a good sign in a racing driver. And we'll see what he can do in these final few laps. And I think Hara was one of the drivers to beat Zamborski last season. I think he had 1 win last season. If anyone would like to correct me on that, feel free. But yeah, he's got some good pace, and well, I think he's got this in the bag, in my opinion.
There's another lock-up there from Marinel, and the Frenchman definitely starting to feel the pressure in these latter stages of the race. Coming up a little bit of traffic. That will be Koban Malhi, who they're coming up on to the Canadian. Oh no, sorry, apologies, it's Brooker. It's Luke Brooker just ahead of him. Apologies, me reading that ever so slightly wrong. Just glancing at our live timing. So kindly provided by SDK Gaming. Make sure you check those guys out. As here we go. What has the Japanese driver got up his sleeve? And he has a look up the inside. This is the most clearest one yet. Backs out of it again. He's toying with that Frenchman, Marinel. As we're on to the penultimate lap. That's 26 out of 27. This is going to be all or nothing, because we just see Brooker just moves to the left of the track. Extreme pass. And like you said, we just do not know what they've got up their sleeves. This is really going to come, normally, last lap from Hara. Sitting in this position, Corner and Birdies, they're still close as you like, a little bit further down the field. Only 2 temps separating those two. Just in this battle for second. Here we go, winding the car up, just making through the snake section. Pinarino, they're up the hill, onto the brakes. Another lockup from Marinel. Not enough to affect this gap though. Hara still only half a second behind. Is it going to be nullified? In fact, actually, Hara's losing a bit of time there. 6 attempts as the white flag is out. Zamborski has taken it. He's clear and gone up the front. 16 seconds clear of these two. Here comes Hara, he's closing. He's going to be too far back to make a lunge. He needs to absolutely ace this section if he wants to any chance, and I think Marinel may just have done enough. New personal best lap from the Frenchman onto the brakes. Takes about half a temp out, but then he extends out. I think this may well be done and dusted in the battle for second, because Marinel now 7 temps clear, heading down the Bretta Raposta. As he comes into the braking zone, into the Interlagos, That's not really changed at all. That looks like that's done and dusted and settled. I tell you what, Takamo is losing quite a bit of time as we see Birdies and Cornu right around the outside there. Brilliant move from the Frenchman to get if he can hold on to this and get it done. We see Birdies just coming back there. But Cornu's still got half a car length alongside and he swoops through. Back up into 8th. A great move from him in these last lap lunge, but he's run it in too deep. Is that going to harm him here? He can just carry off. He can get away with it through here. This section's similar to the Snake and Suzuka, but Samborski's going to take it. Well, relatively 17.2 seconds, fastest lap to boot on the final lap there. Hara has closed into Marinel, but it's not going to be enough. And the Frenchman, he's going to come home in second. Hara's going to clinch. Last place on the podium in third is the Japanese driver. Great drive from those two, both at 5 places each. They'll be happy with that one. Now let's look further down through the field. And Cornu and Birdies are going to go all the way to the wire. There's moving left, they're moving right, they're jinxing. Who's going to get it? They almost touch wheels, and at the line, Birdies gets it by 0.02 of a second. Wow, he timed that one to perfection, Aaron.
Yeah, I'm speechless. That was what a finish from those two. 0.02 of a second, but we're not done. Alarcon and Lopez is going to do the exact same thing. What's it going to be at the line? It's going to be 0.08 between the two Spaniards. And wow, 2 extremely close finishes, all within about, what, 100th?
Yep.
Add it all together? Jesus. That was incredible on that last lap. Sure, it might have only been for 8th and 15th, but I mean, racing's racing. Who cares? But would also just like to mention that last lap from Zamborski practically matched his pole lap, which is just ridiculous, and was pretty much a second quicker than anyone else's fastest lap, which is just.
Right.
If you need one sentence to sum up Zamborski, then there you go. Simple.
Let's see through some classified results here from Interlagos in Brazil. Samborski wins with Marinal and Hara running out your podium. Des Fairclimb, strong result for him. He climbed 8 places to finish 4th with Fabio Di Carmo. That mistake really cost him dearly. And in the end, has to settle for 5th in this home race. Class Duresha, of course, involved in these opening lap contact. Shirakawa, he comes home 6th. Young 7th. Birdies pipping Cornu at the line there in spectacular fashion to get 8th. Then it's the two Burns, James and Jamie, respectively 10th and 11th. At 11 and 12 places, started at the back and, well, really came through the field in spectacular style. Yuki Shirakawa, of course, that damage really costing him dearly. Dropped all the way down to 12th in the rain. 13th to Faris, beating out Lopez there by 8 thousandths and second at the line. Great run from him. Alarcon, 16th. There was Shindoi, Gallus, Akin, Crespo. Be disappointed with that one. He swapped into the pits, so that's why he's so far down and off the pace here today. The Brooker and Yoban Mali, 1 lap down each, 21st, 22nd. Then into the retirements, Victor Ord, we lost him back on lap 7. And Marlon Mordan, we lost him all the way back on lap 4. Let's have a bit of a chat to our drivers. Now, we normally start with a winner, but I'm going to change things up a little bit here. And let's have a chat to Dennis Cornu. Dennis, wow, what a run to the line that was.
Yeah, hi, thanks, and yeah, congrats to the podium. Great pace of all of them. Yeah, again, I'm fucked up my qualifying, say it that way, and I had to work my way through, and I could go the pace, but yeah, and unfortunately they were a little too quick to catch and to get to the podium again, like last time. And
obviously the opening laps, it looks really sort of tough in the midfield. It normally is. I mean, disappointing qualifying, I think, by your own standards. Normally you're seeing you know, comfortably inside the top 10 in qualifying. You're just struggling a little bit for qualifying pace here today?
Yeah, qualifying pace actually is okay, but the first lap I did off track, and then the second lap I did a little safe, but obviously too safe and was too slow then. Yeah, so, but it's okay. Again, I'm happy. It was a great race. Tough was pretty hot here on the track, and yeah, Eddie was too fast.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Aaron said he set the fastest lap of the race on the final lap. 120.97, which was very close to his pole time, and nearly 1 second quicker than anyone else's personal best. So yeah, it's a dominant display from him. But as for yourself, I mean, you got into that battle with Carlos and Cal early on. Just sort of talk us through that, and especially yourself and Cal initially were sort of back and forth quite a bit.
Yeah, I think this was between Dennis Cornu and Carl. I think it wasn't me. I was the same strategy like Road America.
I've called you Dennis Cornu the whole time, haven't I? It's not. It says fair. I apologise. I've completely and utterly commentate at 101, messed that one up. So yeah, fourth is. I mean, a cracking result.
Yeah, no, was again same like Road America said. Just go for the first move and yeah, make your way forward. Was still a little lucky that some guys crashed, but yeah, again, actually had a good pace, and yeah, looking forward to Watkins Glen to have a good qualifying then finally.
Definitely see if you can carry over. Well, yeah, I mean, you're coming into that scintillating form off the back of fourth at Road America as well, fourth here today. Fourth place, or are you going to go one better at Watkins?
Yeah, Watkins, hopefully again on the podium like Road America.
Definitely. Look forward to seeing you. That says Furkheim, not Dennis Cornu. He finished fourth overall here today, up 8 spots. Aaron, do you want to grab take your pick of who you fancy having a chat with next?
I mean, I can't not. Yeah, I mean, you already know who I wanted to interview. Hi, Eddie. Fairly quiet race for you. Do you want to give us a little insight on what happened?
Oh man, I mean, quite honest with you, I had a good start, and I looked behind me, and Yuki was still there. So right away, I was annoyed. I was like, "Come on, how good do I gotta do to have a gap here?" And then we made it to turn 3 or 4 or whatever that tricky left-hander was, and he was gone. And all of a sudden, I had like a 1.5-second gap. I'm like blinking. I hit the key to check my latency. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here." From there, I just put my head down and tried to drive. I mean, the track was brutal. Holy cow. I don't know if anyone else mentioned it, but it was hot, high usage, and the winds were nuts. Every lap was different.
Yeah, it did look like a bit of a challenge for some of the drivers out there, but I mean, as all great racing drivers do, you made it look incredibly easy, winning by, well, 1.5 miles, it seems, from anyone else. You drove a pretty good race and setting the fastest lap on the last lap. Did you save all of your DRS uses for that final lap?
Absolutely. At the start, I had to plan to use 2, so that's what I did. And then the way the circumstances unfolded, I probably didn't need to. Maybe not. I don't know. I didn't have a time to really review how fast anyone was going in clean air, but I knew going in that was probably the best move. I anticipated being caught up because of the wind. I had a feeling I was going to have some mistakes, and I tried to underdrive the car purposely, not let the wind catch me out, because a couple times I went into turn 1, I was like, "Oh no, we're going in the fence." But I barely stopped it. I don't know what lap it was. It was early, probably like lap 7 or something. But once I had the gap, I knew I could go for the lap, and I actually had a couple of bad sectors, and I was like, whatever, who cares, man? Just get to the line. Huge points today, I'm guessing. I mean, it had to be. I saw a lot of high I-rating drivers, so take it,
Yeah, it was a pretty good field up and down, to be honest. But going into Watkins next week, I mean, I was going to ask, is it a strong track for you? But then again, every track kind of seems to be a strong track. So, I mean, it's your home race as well, going back to good old American soil. How are you feeling about next week?
I have to put a qualifying lap together and not mess up turn 1. For whatever reason, the last however many SOFs, I've started like P5 or 6, and it's worked out. I'm not complaining, but it's just a personal goal to not do it again. And Watkins is tricky. You can only go so fast. You're definitely limited by the tire heat. To be fast, you have to do certain things with the car, and that heats the tire up. And the best thing to do is just deal with it. So if there's a very strong tailwind, I'll appreciate it, because that makes it really tough to catch the guy in front of you. But if you have a headwind up that straightaway, you're in for side-by-side no matter what you do. It won't matter. So we'll see. If I can, so front row start would be great, because then in theory, all I got to do is pass one car, right?
Well, I mean, nevertheless, it's going to be some good racing action. But before we let you go, as usual, any final words, final thoughts? Anyone you want to thank?
I'd like to thank all the new drivers. We are absolutely loaded with new talent. It's great to see. A lot of the guys are sticking around, so we appreciate it. I have to thank iRacing for working tirelessly to improve the service. Thank you guys for broadcasting. Everyone who puts the work in on the forums, the effort, and have a good weekend, right?
Well, been a pleasure, Eddie, and congrats.
Thank you.
Oliver, we've had 3 people pop in for interviews. I think that's only right. You pick up the last one. Now joined by Nicholas Marinal.
All right. Nicholas, well, that was an eventful race, wasn't it? P3 at the end. What
Yeah,
was it? How did you feel out of your perspective?
it was a really tough race. Did a good qualifying, better than expected. Really close to the front, and the guys in front did some mistakes, and then I have a lot of luck. And when Fabio did the mistake with Yukimi behind me and Dennis not far away, I was not able to make the mistake because it was really close, and yeah, I know I have a good pace, but I did a lot of mistakes looking the front. But yeah, it was a really good one, a good combo. I think next week will not be the same, to be honest.
You're one of the more you're one of the more newer drivers in this car. What are your initial impressions about it?
At the beginning of the championship was really complicated because I drove a lot of 2.0, and it was the next step. I don't know what my impression is. I don't know what can I say. That maybe the combo Interlagos was good for me, but yeah, for example, Suzuka was not good for me. So that depends really on the combo. I can be fast, and yeah, this time it was the case, and next week for sure it will not be the case.
Why do you think that? Do you have some experience in Watkins Glen, or have you practiced for it already?
No, but when I was driving 2.0, I was not that fast compared to, for example, my teammate Marlon. I was really behind, and it's not a track I really good at Watkins, but maybe the setup will be good, and maybe I will do something good, but I don't think it will be the case, unfortunately.
Well, I don't know about the others, but I certainly wish you good luck for Watkins Glen.
Thank you.
Because yeah, you had some really good racing this week. Would be a shame if that wouldn't happen next week, right, Tim?
Yes, of course.
Definitely. Well, that is Nicholas Marinal, who finished second here today from Brazil in Interlagos. Well, that's all about all we've got time for here today. Well, thank you very much for joining us, everyone. And a thrilling race, another dominant display from Sam Borski. Wow, what's going to happen in a week's time when we visit my favourite track? Good old Watkins Glen. Will it turn out to be the Battle of the Glen, or will we see another dominant display from one of our drivers? Tune in then. I've been Tim Cox with Aaron Smith, Oliver Quoker and Samula Kumo. And we'll see you in a week's time here on Apex Racing TV.